Good morning, everyone, and welcome to AM Excellence 67. Use your influence wisely. Again, I will figure out this lighting to have less shine on my face so I don't burn the screen off. So we're a little bit later today, 6:45, because on Monday morning I hold a call at 5 a.m. So we start a little bit later. So the book I'm reading is Urban Meyer's Above the Line: Lessons in Leadership and Life from a Championship Season. And let me add, very honestly, I've been talking about Urban Meyer for quite a while, and it was 100% coincidental that they happened to lose to Penn State, and I post the next day about Urban Meyer and alignment, success, etc. That was in no way a cut at Urban Meyer. Absolutely love his book, but I realized throughout the day, holy cow, that looks like I was a bit condescending, and I certainly was not. So I'm going to start out today. So the title of this video is called Use Your Influence Wisely. So all of us, whether we know it or not, we have this power of influence. Some of us have a bigger power of influence than others, but at the end of the day, everyone we interact with, everything we do, everything we say has an influence on other people around you. And Urban Meyer starts today's reading. It starts out talking about a coach, Chip Kelly. Now, I don't know college football very well, but I know Chip Kelly is a successful coach. And Urban Meyer walks into this situation where he's observing Chip Kelly. And one of Chip's assistants, Urban Meyer was having this conversation with him. And Urban Meyer said, this isn't what I do. This music, the scene at practice, it's not really my thing. And then the assistant coach says, oh, it is. It's the best thing. So then Urban Meyer goes on to say that, wow, the power of influence that Chip Kelly has on the people in his organization is amazing. Because Urban Meyer was saying this coach that I was talking to never would have said that years prior. So Chip, the leader, had this ability to get the people underneath him to believe in his system. And Urban Meyer goes on to say, he's talking about Chip Kelly. I knew right then why Chip was so successful. It was his uncanny gift for making everybody around him believe that what he's doing is the best. That's the power of influence. That's using your influence for good. That's the ability to convince you, the viewers, you, the listeners, that this system, this hard work, these values, this standard of excellence is the right way. And that measures a leader. That gives you, that's a litmus test for leaders. In the future, that will judge me as a leader to get you to believe, to buy in to this system and this mentality that you should do your best in everything you do, period. Because as a human being on earth, that's our job. My worth as a leader will be judged on convincing my team, my supporters, to believe in that. Now he goes on, the title of this chapter is called Use Your Influence Wisely. And Urban Meyer goes on to discuss this principle used in business called the 10-80-10 rule. The 10-80-10. Now think of this in your own life. What he's saying is this. He's saying that in life, in business, on a team, there's 10% of the people, the elite performers, who digest, who operate the same way, right? Elite performers. They're motivated, they're driven, they're ambitious, they believe in hard work, they believe in excellence. They're born that way, they were raised that way, they are that way. The top 10%. And then the 80% are kind of the average, the normal, the people who go to work, the people who do what they're supposed to do, the people who are open to this idea of getting better, to improving, but they're not overly ambitious, they're not overly driven, they're not going to consistently challenge themselves, but they're still open to it and aware of it. It's the norm, it's the average. And then there's the bottom 10% who actively resist, who are turned off, who have made up their mind, I'm not going to listen to you and you're not going to change my ways because I believe in my way and my way is the best way, except in a negative way. So you have the top 10%, that small faction who are the go-getters, ambitious, driven. They don't necessarily need your motivation. Then you have the people in the middle, the 80%, who, they're not resisting, but they're not overly ambitious. And then you have the bottom 10%. Who are just actively resistant. to everything that you're doing. So in your world, in what you do, I would ask you to think of two things. One, can you identify that different class of people? And even on a team of successful people, there are still the elite, then the average, and then the less than average. Can you identify those people in your life, in your career, on your team, your business, etc.? One, can you? Think about that. And two, where are you at? Which person are you? And there's nothing wrong with any of it. Honest assessment. Where are you at in that separation? Now, he describes it as a circle. You know, you have the 10, the 80, and the 10. And the interesting thing that Urban Meyer says, and the reason this book is, I feel this book is so good and why you should read it, is because it's so easy. I'm not looking at anything. I'm able to speak extemporaneously because his concepts they're so easily digestible. But he's saying your value as a leader, all right, your value as a leader is not necessarily to focus on that top 10%, because that top 10%, they already know it. They're already digesting it. They're already living it. They don't need your motivation to help them. He says the most important part of a leader is focusing on that 80%. How can you bring the most people from the 80% to the 10%? Because that's where the success is going to lie. How can you bring the 80% to the top 10%? And what he says, and this is a cold hard truth, and this is something that I was kind of surprised to read, but when I read it, I thought, man, you know what? Cut and dry, boom, black and white, 1 and 1 is 2, there it is. He says, now it might take me a minute to find this here, but he was saying, basically he said, right here. Okay. He was saying, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time on the bottom 10%. As a leader, that's kind of powerful to read. You're telling me not to waste my time on the bottom 10%? And he adds a little caveat there. He mentions this idea of time. Time being a non-renewable resource. And he says the top 10%, they don't need your motivation. They don't need they're already kind of, they know it. They get it. That 80% are the people who are willing to learn from you and who will learn from you. The bottom 10% have already made up their mind that nothing you can do. Think in your life. Think about those people. It could be people in your family. It could be friends or former friends. It could be people that you see in the street who have already made up their mind. They are a certain way. Nothing you do will ever change them. And what Urban Meyer is saying is he's saying discard those people. Stop trying to help them. It could be someone who asks you for money all the time. It could be someone who you spent so much time trying to help them lose weight, so much time trying to help them one way or the other, who just not only just doesn't listen, but is actively resisting what you're saying. And he says, draw a hard line in the sand, forget those people. Because we as people, as leaders, only have a certain amount of time. And when that time is gone, it's gone. So he's basically saying, cut your losses, avoid wasting your time on the people who have already decided you're not going to help me, right? So don't waste your time on those people. He makes a very important point. That is not saying that you're not going to help people who are have things working against them, are in dire straits, have adversity, et cetera, et cetera. Those people still want to be helped, so help those people. But once you're able to draw the line that they do not want your help, cut your losses, move on, because time is a non-renewable resource. And if you want to if you want to influence as many people as you possibly can, you can't give handouts to everybody. And when they decide, I don't want your help, then it's time for you as a leader to move on. And he talks about the ways to get people, if you are a top 10%er, the ways to get the 80% in your group to elevate them to a new level. And he mentions a few strategies, and he mentions this idea of mastery and belief. So if you're in that top 10%, so I'm speaking right now to the top 10%, and then I'm going to get to the 80%. So if you're listening, everyone listening right now, everyone watching is in that 80% or 10%, or you wouldn't be watching this video, or you're going to turn me off right now, either way around it. So if you are in that top 10%, he mentions a strategy called mastery and belief. I would consider myself in that top 10%. I'm driven, I'm ambitious, I don't need motivation, I don't need someone breathing down my neck because I have it. I was raised, it was taught to me at a young age. And he mentions this idea, how do you bring the other people up? And he mentions mastery and belief. So if you're in that top 10%, don't hesitate. And I'm not saying that you should be arrogant about it or you should be this or that about it, but don't hesitate to show the 80%ers this idea of mastery and belief. They need to believe you. They need to trust in you. They need to develop trust, which we talked about in, I believe, 65, AM Excellence 65. They need to trust you. So don't hesitate to show them or let them know your resume. Hey, I'm a master at what I do because of X, Y, and Z. This is my resume. And then that in turn is going to help them believe in what you're doing. So there's this idea of mastery and belief. He says it's a natural human reaction to want to be something, to want to be connected to greatness. The moment you arrive in the lobby of our football complex, you see trophies, photos, and multimedia displays of some of the great moments in Ohio State history. I'm going to bring you behind the scenes. Is it a coincidence that there's a UFC picture right there, UFC gloves right there, and UFC or not UFC belts? I wish it was UFC belts right there. No, because you need to believe that, hey, who's this guy jabbering so much talking to me? You need to believe or you're not going to listen. It's not manipulation. It's not deceit. He goes on to say, where is it? He goes on to say, it's not testimony, it's results, right? These things are results, not testimony. It has happened. And you need to believe that. If you're going to follow someone, you need to trust in them. You need to believe them. So if you are that top 10%, don't hesitate to show your mastery, your credibility in your craft to garner followers. And if you're in the 80%, keep your eyes out. Do your due diligence. Don't just listen to anybody. Don't just listen to talking heads online, because I could be a talking head online. You need to do your due diligence to figure out who's credible, who's not credible. So do your homework. Research people. If it's someone at your job, if it's someone online, if it's a course you're paying for, do your due diligence. If someone's going to charge you $800, $1,000, $2,000 for something, you better darn well make sure they know what the heck they're talking about. So make sure they are masters at what they do. And he also has this other strategy called harness the power. And this is why I say this is the why the title of this video is called Use Your Influence. Use your influence. Use your influence wisely. Harness the power. There are certain people out there who have this gift, who are either born with it, learn it, etc., who have this position of influence. So use those people within your organization. If your son or daughter is a leader, encourage your son or daughter to have an influence on the people around them. Because as leaders, as those top 10%ers, you have the ability, harness the power to bring the other 80% into that top 10%. I have a weakness for kids who feel bad, kids who are bullied, kids who, and I'm speaking on a whim right here, who are bullied in middle school or high school and just don't feel okay. And I recently reached out to an administrator and I said, hey, how about this? How about this idea of using your leaders, your people, the students of influence, to bring those kids up? What if you got the cool kids, the kids who are self-confident, kids who are disciplined, the kids who are already motivated to bring those 80%ers, the majority of the kids who don't feel welcome, who don't feel good, who don't feel confident about themselves? What if we strategically positioned these leaders and formed a program? So it's like these leaders made it uncool to be a bully. They said, hey, bully, this ain't cool. This is not good. And then by seeing that, oh, that person of influence, that person of influence is standing up to the bullies, then the remaining 80%, the average kids, the normal kids, are brought up into that category. Apply that concept to wherever you're at in life, whether it's middle school bullies or whether it's your business or whether it's your circle of friends. If you are one of those top 10%ers, harness the power. Bring the other 80%ers up. I don't know why I keep doing that, but it feels good. So that's it. And I'll send you this. He says, left unchecked, most people will keep the company of like-minded people. In other words, the top 10%ers will stick with their fellow 10%ers, and the 80%ers will do the same with their group. We work hard to change that inclination, pairing a top 10%er with an 80%er as much as possible in workouts, drills, and unit meetings. So step outside your circle. If you're an 80%er, because I'm talking to you too, actively, intentionally connect yourself with a 10%er. If you're a 10%er, Maggie, and just getting your comment, I'll respond to you after the video. It's kind of a long one, and I want to address it. If you're a 10%er, take the intention to connect with an 80%er and bring them up. If you're an 80%er, actively, intentionally step outside your box, step outside the comfort zone, get a little uncomfortable, and approach a 10%er and say, hey, you're a 10%er, and I'm an 80%er, but I want to be a 10%er. Can you help me be a 10%er? If any 10%er out there says no to that, turn around, walk away, shoot me an email, and I'll be that 10%er to bring you up. Thank you guys for listening. This is AM Excellence 67. Use your influence wisely. And I would ask you to do me a favor. I'm here every single day. If you found value in this video, if I helped you in some way today, share this video. I will continue doing this for as long as I possibly can, so you don't have to do that, but know that I sincerely appreciate it. And my goal is to reach 1 million. I don't want 100, 200 videos. I want 5,000, 10,000, 100,000. And it's only going to happen by people like you, the 10%ers and the 80%ers, bringing the other people into our circle. So please, if you enjoyed it, boom, click share, it's done. Whether you do, whether you don't, I'll be here tomorrow. AM Excellence 68, Carpe Diem, fight well.